I want to show you what out of the top 10 books that are for sale right now, how many of them are conservative history books or written by a conservative? You have Krauthammer, you have Rush Limbaugh,
you have
me, Brian Kilmeade, Bill O'Reilly.
Yep.
That's 5 of the top 10.
Yeah, the rest are either one's a pop singer, there's some stories in there. One's a cookbook.
One's Diary of the Wimpy Kid. So there's 3. What else is left? Doris Kearns Goodwin,
and that's
which is
the only thing that cracks the top 10 that could be considered, by a liberal.
Yeah, and that's history. And that's history.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just want to point this out because I think this is really good news. This shows what America is consuming. What is it that we're doing? Now, nobody in the mainstream media, remember this, think of this. Nobody in the mainstream media is doing American history. Nobody in the mainstream media is talking about mainstream history, American history. Nobody is producing this stuff on television. You're not seeing the movies being made. Look at the appetite for real American history. Look at the appetite for conservative views. When I first made my first book deal with Simon & Schuster, they said conservative, and this literal, and it was not Simon & Schuster alone. It was all of them. Conservatives don't read. Now, where did that come from? Conservatives don't read? How is that even possible?
Well, because they were stupid. Conservatives were stupid.
Right,
and they were
stupid,
ill-informed,
and they don't read. And it allowed people to say, well, conservatives don't read, and so we don't have to make any books for them. So it was all dominated by lefties. So what happens? Rush Limbaugh, he comes out with his big book in the, the 80s? Late 80s, early 90s?
90s, yeah.
And he comes out with his big book. But then it was, well, that's just Rush. That's just Rush. So in the 2000s, 2003 or so, I get my first book deal, and everyone is saying, nobody reads. No conservatives read. So our first book comes out, and it did okay. And then our next book comes out, does really good. Now you're starting to see others as well, not just us, but others as well starting to release books and do well. We get our first contract from Simon & Schuster that is the same as Stephen King's. We can now publish people that we deem fit to be published. Now, when in your wildest dreams would you think that a Brian Kilmeade book, and I say this because look at all of the other books from the hosts like Joe Scarborough. How many books do you think Joe Scarborough is going to sell?
7.
He's got his new book out.
7 the first week.
I'll bet you under 5,000. I'll bet you way under 5,000, maybe under 1,000 books.
Oh, yeah.
And he's been everywhere. Mm-hmm. Look, who are some of the
Piers Morgan.
Piers Morgan. How many books did Piers Morgan sell?
We can't disclose that, of course.
But it's very minimal.
Very minimal.
It's unbelievably minimal.
Is it under 1,000?
I cannot talk about the specific numbers, but what I can say is that absolutely no one in this audience would guess the number. It's that low. I would say, if you're guessing now that I'm telling you it's low, maybe you would. But if you guessed honestly, no one in the audience would believe how low it is.
Well,
it is absolutely.
Everybody, hang on just a second. Everybody, turn off your mic and tell me that, and turn the camera off of Stu so he can tell me.
We're doing first week numbers, sir.
Yeah. Hang on, just because first week is the biggest.
First
week.
and second.
Okay,
week
so hang on just a second. Hold on just a second. Turn off. Turn off. Everybody, turn off your mics. Stu's going to give you the number. Hang on just a second. Oh my gosh. Oh my.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
really bad. Really bad.
I mean,
when you take into consideration the guy is a national talk show host,
a nationally carried
television talk show host,
and sell more.
And not to mention, he was not only does he have his own show,
everywhere.
He was everywhere. He was on late night shows. He was on major radio shows. He did the entire circuit
selling the book.
Well, you know what that is. Liberals don't read.
Well, that would be the natural assumption, wouldn't it?
Liberals just don't read.
Yeah,
It could also be that no
stupid.
one cares about Piers Morgan.
Yeah,
could
well, that's
potentially
okay.
be that.
So that's the deal.
I'd rather go with liberals don't read.
Yeah, well, but that's
They're
what they
too
would
stupid.
do. That's what they would do. That liberals just don't read.
Yes.
Okay. So I just want to bring you the news today that if you look out of the top 10 on Amazon, 5 of them are conservative. Only 1 could be considered a liberal book, and that's Doris Kearns Goodwin, and that is history. And if you look at the topics, you look at Brian Kilmeade, that's George Washington's Secret Six. That is a great book. Mm-hmm. You look at mine, Miracles and Massacres. That is all about American history and the stories that you didn't know.
Rush's book is American history.
Rush's book is American history. Bill O'Reilly's book is history. Hello? Mm-hmm. What does this tell me? This tells me that the market is wide open, that conservatives now are dominating the book world, and that's got to be driving people crazy.